people are under this impression that as long as you categorize things correctly, then that's discernment. Like, okay, that singer is bad, that singer is good, this book is Christian, that book is not Christian. And that's kind of not how the real world works. There are plenty of books that are claimed to be Christian that I've seen some really awful things written in, really bad theology. And I've had some secular books that I've read, and I thought, ooh, they made some really good points here. And so I think most of our problems come because we think that we can go into autopilot.
Right.
That I categorize things correctly and then I can shut my brain off. So the chew and spit method tells us that we need to sift through everything that we feed our mind. It's kind of like if you're eating a thing of meat and, sometimes you have a piece of gristle, you can take in the meat, but, spit out the bones, spit out the gristle. So this is what we need to be teaching our kids to do, is say that this is an idea, or this is, a song or music or movies or whatever. Say everything we have has good and bad. Or so our job is to separate the good from the bad, accept the good, reject the bad. So, okay, so we see this movie. What were the good things that we saw in the movie? Here. What were the bad things we saw in the movie? Here. Okay, let's accept those good things and reject those bad things. And you can sit here and do this with your kids as they think through things. And so the other thing that I think this does is we're not dealing just with ideas and books and movies and music.
Right.
We're also dealing with people. And people are always going to be a mixture of good and bad. I don't know very many people that, they just spout evil from maybe the father of lies, Satan, he's all spit. But most people are going to have good intentions behind their bad ideas. And that's something I think we really need to emphasize with our children. If we're going to be living in unity, if we're going to be living in, not unity, sorry, we live in unity with our Christian brothers and sisters. We live in community with people who are around us. The way to live in community is we can't say that person's all bad or that person's all good. We have to recognize that a lot of times they have bad ideas that had good intentions. So let's separate those good intentions from the bad ideas, accept the good, reject the bad. And that way we build bridges where bridges should be built. And it makes it to where we're not the party of just going around and wagging our fingers at everybody for being wrong. That we're saying, I see those good intentions. I see what you're trying to do. And guess what? The Bible actually addresses that. And here's how the Bible addresses that. And actually it affirms you're absolutely picking up on a biblical truth. Yay for that. Now we have a disagree about maybe what the solution is. But now we're in a dialogue instead of in some kind of combative place. And I think in our hyper-polarized society right now, we need peacemakers who know how to have these conversations without it's called fight or flight. It's where someone feels threatened. We need to have these conversations where we can prevent the person getting into fight or flight, where they don't feel threatened, because once you're in fight or flight, rational thinking goes out the window. And our goal is to engage rationally, because that's where change happens.
Yeah, what you said actually makes a lot of sense, but there would be still some parents who will be like, what if I just tell my kids to look the world like black and white? Because if I let them discern on their own, what if they make wrong discernment? So won't that cause more harm than good? What would you say to parents who might have that concern?
I think that's absolutely true for certain age groups. I think you need to see where your children are at and being able to discern. Secondly, this is why it's important to do it together. And thirdly, I think this is kind of a new phenomenon, this idea that we need to protect our kids from every kind of mistake. If we treated any other discipline like that, I'm talking sports, school, you name it. If we treated any of those as if, we got to protect them from not being perfect. So, that's not how you learn. Now, I'm not saying encourage mistakes, but mistakes are going to happen. And in fact, when mistakes do happen, that is where we are able to, number one, show our kids how to deal with sin. When kids don't know how to deal with sin, a lot of times that turns into shame. It turns into hiding and repressing things. And that's not a healthy thing to do. It's fine to let them maybe sin openly and then say, okay, well, you kind of missed the mark on that one. Let's talk about how to deal with that. That's going to give them more tools for adult living than any kind of childhood perfection could ever have.
Right. And as you pointed, we may think the world is black and white, but it's That's not how it is. And one way I've seen that has that seemed to falter is that, and it's touched in the book in much more clarity, much more depth, is that when they are told that you are not supposed to listen to this, read this, watch this, and somehow they're exposed to it, and they wonder, hey, I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it makes sense biblically at some point. So then they start questioning everything they've been told, and I've seen that happen in my own Christian community, where our community holds certain legalistic positions on certain things, and when they take a moment and they stop and question, the next thing they do is they start questioning the entire structure. Though the entire structure and the doctrines are rigid and biblically sound, they immediately are prone to think, well, what if everything is messed up? So
Yes.
that discerning factor is very, very key. And I hope that the parents who are listening in would take that in and try and inculcate into their kids.